executive interview. I'm Kimberly Underwood, Director of Digital News Media at FCA International Sigma Magazine. Today I'm at the offices of Thinklogical, sitting down with Peter Henderson and Patty McAlpine to speak about data delivery and gaining decision advantage. I'd first like to introduce Peter. Peter Henderson is the co-founder and Vice President of Business Development at Thinklogical. He's a technologist at heart with almost 35 years of experience in the technology marketing and business development. Since 2003, when he co-founded the company, he's been guiding Thinklogical's growth through the introduction of new products to customers and development into the marketplace. And as part of the company's design center team, he leads the design configuration and validation guidance of solutions to customers. Before he co-founded Thinklogical, Peter contributed to the technology businesses of AMP Inc., Harbor Electronics, and Lightwave Communications. And next to me, I have Rear Admiral Patty McAlpine, who is a senior global military advisor at Thinklogical. Patty retired from the United Kingdom's Royal Navy after a distinguished 36-year career, where he served in several organizations, including the UK's Joint Services Command and the Staff College. He specialized in mine warfare clearance and surface warfare, and he also commanded the HMS Somerset, a Type 23 frigate, and the HMS Daring, a Type 45 first-class destroyer. Thank you guys for speaking with me today, and we're at your very cool offices here in Vienna, Virginia.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and so this is your Technology Demonstration Center, right?
Yes, it is. This is our ATCC, the Advanced Technology Concept Center. And yeah, we have a full-blown ops floor behind us and other cool rooms around here. So.
Oh, very cool.
Well, we like to bring people in here just because seeing is believing.
That's right.
Because it's technology that will change the way that we approach ship design, build, and command, and improve headquarters. But actually, what we like to do is to bring people in so they can actually see the technology in action. And what they normally do is they come back and bring all their friends.
Right, sure. And this is not your only demonstration center. You have them kind of around the world.
That's
Tokyo,
correct.
Canberra, Connecticut, DC. Did I miss any?
I think that's it.
That's the set demonstration. But then,
building one in Europe.
But then we also have mobile demonstration kits that we actually take around to the nations, to the armed forces, and to customers, and to shows.
All right, very cool. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Thinklogical is a US-based manufacturer of innovative, secure, high-performance video distribution, VDS, and KVM, keyboard, video and mouse, signal extension, and switching systems. And their solutions allow organizations to access and distribute video-rich data and information. Military leaders need to be able to rely on advanced, highly secure, end-to-end signal management infrastructure that improves safe data access and delivers critical information exactly when and where it's needed, whether it's on a ship or aircraft. And with that, Patty, let's start with you.
Okay.
Let's delve into data delivery and kind of the importance of multi-domain operations, kind of what that is, and kind of how Thinklogical's technology will kind of help multi-domain integration with data delivery.
Sure. Multi-domain operations is an approach that tries to bring all the instruments of power to bear, whether those are military instruments of operation or influence, or they are civilian. In the military, we're looking at the domains such as air, maritime, land, cyber, and space. And then what we're trying to do is to bring those all together such that we can approach them, plan and execute and coordinate, schedule and deliver in a way such that we bring all of the actual bonuses and benefits and positives together. What we're trying to do is we're trying to put dilemmas in the mind of and in front of an adversary if we're in a operations warfighting environment. But it might be that we take an all domain comprehensive approach to something like humanitarian assistance or disaster relief. But what we're trying to do is try to bring all of those instruments of power together and deliver to the commanders and to the operators the ability to see the whole picture. Where Thinklogical comes into this is that we move all forms of data, information and video faster, more secure, uncompressed, to everybody that needs it. If they've got the accreditation, and if you are allowed to see the secret information, you'll get that information as quickly as possible. If you're not allowed to see the information, the secret information, well, then actually what we'll do is that we will reduce and restrict the ways to actually move that information around. So it's the ability to get what you need, okay, when you need it, where it's needed, quicker and faster than the situation, to deal with the situation, or quicker and faster than the enemy, provides an advantage to the commander. That's what Thinklogical offers.
Right, sure. And kind of specifically for the warfighter's point of view, kind of how can your technology help them in their decision making for the getting that decision advantage for better and faster kind of information and decision making?
So what we're after here is actually trying to get the right information to the right people faster. Okay, and so what you do is, if the commander can see the information coming from all domains, and information that comes in from civilian organizations, and information that comes in from non-government organizations and international bodies and other actors, so he sees a full comprehensive picture, he can then make a better, more informed, faster, better decision. And that's what we're trying to achieve by giving him the information when he needs it, and at the right time, the right place, the right place.
Right, sure. And kind of what is that specific information advantage in multi-domain operations, and kind of how can you achieve that, I guess?
So there's an old saying called the fog of war, and there's the fog of war comes whenever you can't quite get all the information, can't quite understand the situation you're dealing with. You just don't have that single piece in the puzzle that then prevents you seeing the whole picture. So if the commander that can better observe, orientate, decide, and then act, so that's the old OODA loop piece, getting inside someone's OODA loop decision-making cycle faster than the enemy gives you that information advantage. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to reduce all the questions that the commander will have by giving him the information when he needs it, faster than the enemy, so he can then decide and react cases and gain an advantage. Now, whether that's an advantage of putting the right people in the field, or moving parts in the battlefield, or moving the warships at sea, or changing where you're actually going to have your satellites, but he needs to do that faster, better, and quicker than ever before. He needs to bring all this information in. He needs to be able to simulate, correlate, aggregate, understand what he's been given. The trick here is that he has to get the right information, not just all the information. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to provide him the right technology, not more technology, and that's the trick here.
Right, sure. I'm kind of interested in that part about that it's a single system. Peter, can you kind of delve into that, kind of how your technology moves information and data from all these sources across multi-domain operations for the military, or across different organizations for humanitarian or governmental organizations? Kind of how is that done? Kind of why is it important, and why is it better than current systems that are out there?
Sure. Well, as Admiral McAlpin has just pointed out, there's a tremendous amount of information coming from multiple disparate networks associated with each of the domains that we're trying to support. And there are other domains besides the big five that were mentioned. There's the intelligence community. There's humanitarian domains. There's a lot of other domains that play a role, and they all have their own networks. They all have their own security doctrines and rules as to how they're handled. So they all have to be separated from each other. But at the end of the day, all of the information from all of the networks necessary to make a decision have to be looked at, analyzed, and evaluated, and essentially compiled into something that leadership can use to make informed decisions, and it has to happen as fast as possible. So Thinklogical is accredited for handling all of those disparate networks and multi-level security domains in one system. Legacy systems stovepiped information so that command and control environments became extremely complicated, very complex, hard to support, and even harder to use efficiently. Thinklogical eliminates that.
Right, sure. And can you kind of delve into more of how you deal with the sensitive kind of side of information and the classifications, how you handle the access to different users, whether that's in the military or even, PII for humanitarian associations. Kind of how does your technology better manage sensitive information?
Well, the key to managing sensitive information is not to manage it at all. And Thinklogical never touches content, never touches the actual data part of the information. Therefore, we isolate every input and output of our system from all others. So from a security perspective, we're actually agnostic to whatever networks are coming in and how they're handled. That is handled outside of us. So our accreditations basically state that since we don't touch content and we isolate everything from everything else, it doesn't really matter what level of security information is going through our switch. The only thing that matters is the security level of the people that are receiving it.
The really neat piece about this is that if everybody in the room has the security classification to see the information that the commander wants, the touch of a button, finger press, everybody in the room sees it. If there's if part of the room's not cleared in cases, they don't get to see this information. If we've got secret information up in a classified room and the door opens because somebody comes in, as soon as that door opens, actually where you can see from the outside the screens go black. Okay, the door closes, the screens come back up again. So in the past, if a unclassified civilian would come into a very classified environment as a guest, or VIP, so don't have that clearance, you'd see a big red flashing light in the corner. And then you'd see a lot of people running around with a sack, putting a sack over the top of the actual display because it's secret. Now, at the press of a button, the guy that coordinates the ops room turns around and goes, close that off, close this off, do that.
Right.
And they don't lose, and it's quick, it's really quick. Now, the other bit that's really important about moving the information around is if the one most junior operator in the ops room, the headquarters of 500 people, sees a piece of information that everybody needs to see, rather than telling his 1-up, his 2IC, goes up to the section chief, goes up to the officer, he turns around and says, everybody needs to see this, including the commander. Press of a button, everybody sees it. So it's instantaneous, and it's instantaneous sharing the information, and that means it's instantaneous situational understanding. The difference here is that awareness, we know something's happened, but actually the most important piece here for the commander is understanding. I'm aware something's happened, but actually what I want to do is to make sure that it doesn't happen again, or if it does happen again, I'm prepared for it. The difference between understanding and awareness. And that's part and parcel of this technology, to be able to actually get the information to the right people at the right time, quite quicker and faster, that helps the commander make better decisions faster, is absolutely key to providing the information age. And it's what PACE technology provides to the user.
From a topology perspective, there's a big difference between how we handle all this information within the context of a command and control environment and the way it's been done in the legacy methodology. What used to happen was that computers of various types would be positioned at the feet or in the locale of the operator, and then the various networks would be brought in with specific information assurance and security guidelines to enable those operators to do their job at their desk. The problem with that is that those operators can only do certain jobs that are associated with whatever computers are at their desk. And you needed a network, a computer with every network possible for that operator times how many operators you have. So what Thinklogical does is we enable the customer to take all of the IT computers and all of the thin client user stations and get them off the operator floor, out of the operator environment. From a cyber perspective, you're no longer co-mingling threats and targets. So the insider threat is mitigated. And all that equipment is put into a machine room or multiple closets and connected to a switch fabric, a fiber optic based switch fabric that we make. That gives us the opportunity to take the keyboard, mouse, video, audio, and device information and send it back into the operator environment in a very managed way. And when you consolidate all your resources, you can better utilize, you can leverage the resources better, because you don't need a one-to-one relationship of all these different networks to every operator. So your efficiencies go up, your complexity goes down, your security goes up, total cost of ownership goes down, and from an O&M support perspective, it's easier to support because everything's in machine rooms and you're not crawling around under desks trying to fix things.
Right, so imagine that would reduce the number of displays and monitors.
It can do, absolutely, or it can keep the same number of monitors, but actually it allows you to use them differently. So let's say that we're in a multi-threat environment where we, for ex-Navy, so I'm at sea, so there's a submarine threat. I've also got a surface threat and there's an air threat, so we're dealing with that. But actually we deal with the submarine, in whatever manner the submarine threat's gone. But if I have a section of the operations room or CIC, it says, and that's ASW only. When the submarine threat's gone in old and current, design warships, that ASW department is defunct. It's sitting there. It's not being able to be used. If you use Thinklogical, that actually gives you the zero clients and the ability to actually be very, very flexible, multifunctional consoles. As soon as the ASW, the anti-submarine warfare threat is gone, I can move those guys out. Okay, so, or if they're dual trained, I can turn around and say, well, there's a larger air threat that's actually building down to the southwest, and I need more air picture compilers, more air picture supervisors, and more air picture local area directors. And so therefore I'm actually using what I've got in a far more flexible way and actually just moving my focus. So there's no threat over there, I'm going to move it across here. So fantastically flexible reconfiguration instantaneously. So there's none of this sort of reprogramming piece. These guys put a macro into the system, or they just turn around and go press a button. There's the ASW sonar picture, press a button, here's the air picture. Very attractive.
Yeah, it sounds very seamless.
Yes.
Seamless.
You need the infrastructure to scale with the threat, and you also need it to adapt with the allocation of resources that are appropriate for the threat. And if you're taking up valuable space with resources that don't comply with the threat that's at hand, then it's not a very efficient environment. So we eliminate that. We eliminate that possibility. Everything is highly managed and extremely flexible in terms of how it's deployed.
Sure. And can you give us some examples? Where's your technology being used today from either of you?
Well, to start from the maritime environment, there are 14 different classes of warship around the world in 7 different nations that are using Thinklogical technology. We have our technology in some NATO headquarters. It's the technology in some of the intelligence organizations as well.
All of the U.S. federal combatant commands. Some of those deployed systems are extremely large. There's air defense systems, unmanned aerial vehicle, pilot station, ground stations, and training stations, training systems. Were deployed in virtually every aspect, probably 60 Air Force bases or more. Kind of lost track of that. And there's a very large footprint in the intel community as well. Not to mention the civilian agencies, TSA, threat assessment watch floors. There's a vast deployment of our equipment all around the world.
And we're aggressively progressing development of this technology. The technology that was brought in we'll put it in the headquarters. Actually, we'll try and put it in some ships. Actually, we'll put it into the Air Force, basically the big, heavy, static places. Now what we've actually done is, as Pete's described, you take away the computing, power, you put it into a rack system. You, for want of a better expression, you miniaturize it, make it smaller. Now you can make it mobile. So if you're making it mobile and modular, then therefore you can actually support forward deployed aircraft. This is the forward deployed Marines. You can then make it into, put it into a secure a container within a container. So it's not just putting it into a shipping container and putting some pieces in. A secure, mobile, modular, transportable, outer, framework within a shipping container. Then you can put it on a ship or beside an airfield and actually call it an additive capability, into it as well. So, so it's fixed, it's mobile, so it's fixed. It's got airfields, it's, Navy, Marines, Army, Air Force bases, civilian infrastructures, but now we're going to make it mobile as well. So we're just continually trying to find the best applications to ensure that we provide, our armed forces and civilian organizations with the very best technology to meet today's current threats.
Along those lines, we're as a company, we are constantly reducing the physical footprint of the computing capacity and the infrastructure, taking out weight, taking out basically buying space back for our customers to be used for other things. So the more you can do with the least complexity, the better off you are, both in terms of the resiliency of the system, the efficiency of the system, and the security of the system.
Right, I'm sure those swap gains, the size, weight, I forget what the A stands for.
Yeah,
Size, weight, and power, I guess, is the end. But I'm sure that is a very welcome advancement.
Particularly if you look at new ships and size of ships and being able to actually change the internal layout of the ships. I mean, the technology is clever. It's really it's very good. It's unique and it's proven. It's available. This is the we're just trying to get more and more people to understand it, such that they can look at the applications. But the sort of the bottom line is that we are trying to allow commanders to make better decisions faster. Right? We are in a technology. Warfare's always been technology driven. This is and always has been and always will be. But new technology, does not guarantee battlefields, success, but it makes the difficult easier, and that's the key to all of this.
Sure, and you mentioned the kind of accreditation piece. Can you kind of delve into that a little bit more, and how did you achieve the accreditation that was required for your technology?
There's not just one accreditation. Every nation, every agency, all have their own accreditations, but and we have every one we could get. We have many that are published, many that aren't published, and we're on many APLs and in the intel community, which is sensitive. But what it comes down to is a standard method of assessing the risk of any deployed system, and that would be the risk management framework system, where you actually start out with whatever accreditations you can get, and then you deploy it in a prescribed way, and then you assess that system with respect to what the mission requirements are, what the security posture is, and from there you get an ATO, an authority to operate, or you don't.
Every potential client or every sort of customer, and every nation, all have different accreditation. Yeah. And we'll engage with them. We'll show them what the technology does, and they're immediately into, well, how can that? You can't do, and and it's not a tried throwaway line, but actually, when it comes to accreditation and when it comes to what we're trying to achieve, we're trying to make the impossible possible, and we're doing that. And in the end, the accreditors will go, really? Yes, because the technology is so clever, it's so unique. It takes a while for us to get the message across, but in the end they go, okay, you meet the national requirements. And when over in NATO, it's with all the contributing nations, so each one of them will have different requirements and different accreditation. and then NATO will have accreditation as well. And so far, okay, after very many long conversations and going in depth, and as Pete said, it's almost the first thing. This is the, here's the technology, this is what's happening. Now let's talk about accreditation. Come and test us, because we know we're going to pass.
Right. That's quite something. Thank you for walking us through that. Anything else you wanted to add?
I would just say that this is exactly the same technology that edited the first 3D movie in Avatar, that was part and parcel to all kinds of entertainment and non-military and non-public sector successes as well. So this is very, very tried and true. Performance is optimal. Security is great, and the best thing this company has ever done has been support our warfighters, and that's what we're doing today. That's the reason I think we're both here.
Yeah. Well, very cool. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Rear Admiral Patty, for your time today and for walking us through that. And definitely check out their website, thinklogical.com, and come to one of their demonstration centers or a mobile center and see it for yourself. Thank you.
Seeing is believing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Thanks. Have a good day.